Sure.
1996 is the best sports year of all time.
Yes.
Why?
All right. So I wanted to write that book since I was a kid. It's 96 year I graduated high school. And my kids are now 9 and 11. My son is really into sports. My daughter, not so much. But like everything we talk about now, if you think about it, like the whole world changed in 96. The whole sport world changed in 96. So I originally had the idea called like Decade of Icons. I was going to focus it on all the 90s. And then my agent and I were kicking it around. And he was like, these yearbooks of like the year. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do a biography of a sports year. Not that it's like never been done, but no one's really tackled it that way. It's always like a year in review or a look back. But I was like, I'm gonna do a biography as if the year was a person. So if you think about it, just from a sports perspective, and actually I think I talked to your brother Joe about it, like on an email chain once. Like, so before in 1995, I'm in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody cares about Tiger Woods. He's just an amateur person. The few people outside of golf I've ever heard of. Allen Iverson is in high school. I mean, he's in college, Georgetown. He has a March Madness, but like that's the first time he shows up. He's not a household name, nothing. Kobe's nobody. The high school kid that's supposed to be good at basketball, outside of people who follow it, no one cares,
AAU
right?
circuit or whatever.
Shaq's on Orlando, so there was no Kobe and Shaq right there. Okay, you got no The Rock, no Stone Cold. Both of them were screwing around, just hadn't gone on to sports yet. No Major League Soccer, no WNBA. You've got Mike Tyson still in jail, hasn't come back yet. So like when you look back at now, everybody, you can't talk about sports. Every athlete now, and I've interviewed, I've done books with them, they look back. Who are your icons? Kobe, Iverson, Tiger, Shaq, the Kobe Lakers, like MLS now, Soccer Matters. WNBA is now huge. People actually follow it. Before, in 1995, none of these conversations happened.
Yeah.
They didn't even matter. So if you look at like, it's like a line of demarcation, like before 96, none of that happened. And then after. And then the second part of it is, if you look at the people who were huge in 96, right? So you've got the Cowboys win their third Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Like look at that team, right? Like Michael Irvin still on TV. Deion, as big popular-wise probably as ever. Aikman, the number one announcer. These guys have been on TV on Sundays for like 25, 26 years, right? Commercials. Now he's doing Geico with Nick Saban. He was doing like Domino's with David Robinson. Like these guys have not left. They haven't left the scene. Tiger is as influential as ever. And so if you look back, like there's this line. Everything I talked about in high school was cool. But from then on, it's all these new people who came into existence in the sports kind of universe in 1996.
I remember Allen Iverson. He was like literally one of my childhood like heroes in sports, right? Yeah. And I remember as he was becoming more popular in the NBA, I was in middle school around like the late 90s. And we convinced our coach, who had zero power, I'm pretty sure he was a volunteer, to mandate, which really meant we were mandating, that all of the team got the first Allen Iverson shoes. I think they were the answers that they had a little zip up. Mm-hmm. I think those came out before the questions. The questions came out later, if I remember correctly. Yep. And so remember, there's like 12 to 15 white kids in a random, middle school in the middle of North Carolina, which is a huge basketball, like all stuff. Yeah. And we all get these Allen Iverson shoes. And I remember parents being like, who's Allen Iverson? Right? Because he was like really just starting to become popular. And then they go and they look and they're like, I don't know if we're into like the whole team wearing the Allen Iverson, right? And he had the armband, like he was starting to put it all together. Yeah. And then I remember as our parents fought it, we became more obsessed. He got on the cover of Slam magazine, and like as soon as all that hit, it was like Allen Iverson cannot be fucked with. Yeah. And then of course practice, and then everything exploded. Yeah. And our parents were like, "What is going on? Who is this guy? Why are our kids always trying to watch Sports Center every single night to see who we crossed up?" Yeah. Like it just snowballed into this huge thing. And it's like, you don't remember. Like I definitely don't remember really before that. Like that is like a seminal moment for me of his like big explosion onto the scene, and he changed how basketball really got played.
Yeah, because I'm a little older than you, and it was like Bird, Magic, like all those guys, Michael, like when you're watching the 92 Olympic Dream Team was like the biggest thing ever, and like you're moving on, those guys are all retiring then. Now, obviously Jordan won 97, 98, like still big, but from an influential standpoint, like those guys were clearly at some point moving on. Yep. And then you have like Iverson. And the beauty of Iverson is like, he came almost out of nowhere. He was your size. I mean, I covered him a bunch when I went for Hoops Heist and some other places. Like he was 6 foot. He was 160 pounds, and he was in this land of giants and had just this fight in him. And you didn't have to be from anywhere to just watch him and be like, this guy is different and he's awesome. And then some of the stories like that I had uncovered for 96 are incredible because, so he was a Nike guy. Nike high school. John Thompson's Georgetown's Nike. Thompson is on the board of Nike. Everybody's like, he's going Nike. Reebok is like, you go to Nike, Jordan signs Iverson. You go to Nike, it's like, oh, you know, maybe Penny will give a little push to Iverson in the little Penny commercials. Iverson's like, no fucking way. I want my shoe. And he goes there and they come up with this huge campaign. I can't remember the name of the two guys, but they were watching March Madness and they're like, we need him. We're basically going to say to our guys, we're going to put our entire marketing budget on this guy. Basically what Nike did with Jordan way back when. And we want him to be him. We don't want to polish him into Nike or into Reebok. We want to make Reebok what he wants. And Iverson was like, that's who I am.
I can get behind that.
I can get behind that. And he comes out and he's in, inputting, designing the shoes. They let him be who he wanted to be. And it was like the most brilliant sneaker decision you could ever make from a company perspective.
I always say that the questions still to this day, I think are the best shoes ever made.
Yeah, 96 was cool because you still had Jordans.
Yeah.
His shoe comes out. Shaq had the Hypnosis, which it looked like, it was weird. And then the pennies were cool and Pippen had his own shoe. And like some of these shoes that came out then were great, but there was no answer to the Jordan. It was like the Jordans in general. There was nothing as cool. There were shoes that were like, definitely people like Penny, Shaq, whatever. But there was no athlete who you were like, I'm going to rep these shoes because I think he can stand up and be as cool as Jordan. And that's what Iverson meant. So from 96, it's like, how do you even talk about basketball in 2023 without Kobe and Iverson? Because every athlete you talk about, LeBron, Pick'em, Kevin Durant, their favorite athlete was either Kobe 100%. Or Iverson.
Yeah. The other big moment I remember where an athlete kind of broke through with a bunch of my friends was Carmelo Anthony in March Madness when he and Syracuse went on the huge run. Yeah. And everyone was just like, dude, who is this guy? And it was the same type of ingredients though, right? It was like, it was a kid who just like, obviously size-wise he was different, but it just like, this kid is not going to quit and he's just tough as shit. Yeah. And I think that there was something about that entire like kind of mid 90s to like early 2000s where kids that were like maybe college down to like middle school. And if you were into basketball, you were just like, things are changing. Yep. And these guys are like the leaders of this new wave. Yeah. You had, it was almost like they had that passing the torch. It skipped over because it's really not Jordan to Kobe and all these guys. Like there was an era in the middle of like Marbury, Garnett, Chris Webber, and some of these guys they were awesome, but they didn't, McGrady, like they didn't capture your imagination. Vince did because of his dunks and that was sick. But like he never had the playoff stuff. He never made a finals. He kind of never pushed over that hump of being like the cultural icon. Yeah. But it was Iverson and it was Kobe. And it's an unbelievable thing to think about. Like you're sitting in high school, it's like, that conversation of who's Allen who? Like he plays for where? At Georgetown? He played football somewhere in high school. Like Kobe, like who the Hornets want him or the Lakers are going to get him? Like, okay, what a bust. Another high school guy nobody cares about. And now it's changed completely forever.